Hello，大家早上好，欢迎来到用心讲堂，女人其实很强大的节目。那今天我邀请到我多年的好朋友 Mr. Michael 来参与我们这个特约主持嘉宾的行列。Mr. Michael 是新加坡以及马来西亚国际专业标准认证局的总裁。一直以来 ，Michael 都很积极于参与推动许多有关于青少年发展潜能活动的项目，对于提供各领域的专业培训和知识的认证有着非常丰厚的经验，所以今天肯定又会是一个大家学习满满的星期天。那我现在就邀请我的好朋友 Michael 出来。
嗨，
Hello
大家好，
Michael，
大家
Good
好，
morning， 你好。
大家好，你好，谢谢 Melissa，谢谢主持人，大家早上好。接下来如果可以的话，我就尽量用英语吧。
可以，
what you
你可以
call
mix English, yes,
yep.
no problem.
All right, thank you for the invitation for today. Basically to also participate in your very honorable and popular program. In the session of inspiring women. I think this is very important in terms of the woman in the next century. Now, I will of course share a little bit what I do and how I look at the women in the next century. I mean, in this century, the beginning of this century, anyway. Okay. My name is Michael Khan. Good morning again to everyone, to all audience and all listeners. I have been in training, consulting, coaching, advisory for the past, I can't remember, since 1994, in all sorts of programs and human capital development. Now, over the so many years of engagement in this human capital development, whether it's coaching or training, I come to realize one thing. At the end of the day, the success story of a company, a business, a family, or even himself or herself has very much to do with the professionalism and integrity of that person.
Yes.
How they lead their life and so on. For many people, they will think that, wow, even in family and personal relationship also have the professional. So I would say, yeah, because the definition of professionalism is very much different. So over the years, that is why after so many years, I've coached different people, including the champion of Nescafe Kickstart. That was back in 2004 or 5, the first champion. I've also coached the first or the youngest parliamentarian, YB Prabha, all right, before, of course, handed over to a veteran, and also in many other areas, young CEO and things like that. So one thing I see in common in all these young people is that they have the drive, they have the energy. The only thing is that we have to assist them, support them in what they do, so that they're on the right track in a longer term. So I think that is very important. So along the way, other than training and coaching, that is why after some time, 20 over years, I start to ask myself, what's next? So that leads me to form the Advanced Accreditation Authority in Singapore, which is equivalent to the ISO standard. The only difference is that we are developing standards for professionalism and integrity, targeting individuals, not companies. So this is how it transpired, and we are the owner, the scheme owner of the international standard called SPIDER. SPIDER basically stands for Standard for Professionalism and Integrity Development. So this is what we hope to steer the young generation, not only the young, but all people around the world, so that they become more engaged, more professional in what they do, in any aspect of life, whether in their profession or career. So I think this is very important in moving forward. So today I'm very honored to have your invitation to talk and moderate a little bit with a very young and inspiring woman. All right, a lady, I would say, and let's see how we can move forward to a better future. Back to you, Melissa.
Yeah, thank you, Michael. I think maybe you can have the 1 minute to share about how they can apply for this professionalism from your associations, and in fact, what is the benefit to be certified, in your association, and let more people to understand about this association as well.
All right, thank you, Melissa. let me give you this scenario, yeah. Over my 20 over years of a career, I listened, I gathered, I heard a lot of complaints from bosses, from companies, from managers. For example, their human resource manager left the company, and then he or she sabotaged the company by deleting all the files, no more handover, things like that. Only when he or she left, then only you discover, they already deleted all the documents, things like
Yes.
that. That's one scenario. Another
Yes.
scenario, the head of IT, after resigning from the company, they choose to do some bad things, and then they do remote access and sabotage the IT system and software. That's the second scenario. Or the third scenario, okay, everybody somehow or other, you have a property. Not everybody, but most of us, yeah? So you want to rent the property, you want to sell the property, the first thing you look for is property agent. But you
Yes.
don't know the background of that property agent. Has he or she absconded money before? So all these things, all right, maybe I give you the fourth scenario, very simple. When you have water leakage at home, who do you call for? You don't call for an
Plumber.
engineer, right? You call for a
Yeah.
plumber, correct? And you
Yes.
call for a professional plumber. Professional plumber basically means the person who do the job well for you, take care of the cleanliness after he left, and give you a reasonable, affordable price. So all these four
Yes.
or five scenarios, if you put it together, let me ask you a question. Which platform in the world can you refer to that these people have a clean and reliable track record so that you are not being conned? So
Yeah.
this is where Spider comes in, where we have this platform. We call it the web, the what you call a world endorsement board. I think anyone can now Google if you need to. You just Google Spider Verify. We have this highest SOE in terms of the search ranking. You just Google Spider Verify. Of course, you don't Google Spider-Man, yeah. You Google Spider Verify. It will lead you to the platform where you can verify a person. If the person is not listed in the web, then you take your risk whether you want to engage him or her. It's up to you. But those who want to be acknowledged, yeah, recognized as a professional, I suggest please register yourself with the web, which is definitely FOC for the time being. So this is how you get yourself recognized as a professional along the way and build your rapport. So this thing is something, if you look at the whole spider web, it's like a combination, a fusion of, those days you have Uber, Grab, where you need to do the rating for the, what they call a driver,
Yes.
Quitos, Avalgo, Trivago, where you do the rating. But this time,
Yes.
it is the rating by the person, by the customer on the professionalism of that person. The better rating you have, the more recognized you are worldwide. So that is what Spider is all about. Back to you, Melissa.
Yeah. Yeah, it is very good. I think this is a very good knowledge for everybody, our fans from our page, then if you want to be certified as a professional, then do not forget to go for this spider.net or spider.my. You can put the text to me later. I can put it in my page to let more people know about your website, Michael. So
Sure, no
thank
problem.
you.
Yep.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you.
you for your introductions. I think not tomorrow. Today, we have a very special guest, which is only 17 years old. I think everybody is looking forward to hear from her. So 今天呢，我们是邀请了一位天使，我们叫她奔勇天使，因为她今年17岁，所以我们想听一听这位17岁的小女孩她的梦想是什么？因为将来的世界都是属于这些年轻人的，所以有时候在我们这个年代，我们是没有办法去想象。也不足以去想象这些年轻人将来就是会创造一个怎么样子的世界，所以每个人的思维跟想法跟意见都没有对和错，总的我们要去承认这个世界将来都是属于他们的。所以I think there's no further delay, Michael. I think I invite the 70 years old Angel coming out together with us to share something.
Welcome, Andrea.
Hello, Andrea.
Hi.
Andrea,
Hi,
how are
Melissa. Hi,
you?
Michael. I'm good. I'm fine. And I'm very thrilled to be here.
早上好，大家早上好。
大家早上好，观众朋友大家早上好。不好意思，我发育有点刺了今天。
没有关系，有一个痴痴的陪着你，就是 Michael。 现在很多华人不会讲华语，不行哎，中国已经非常开放了哈，我们要加油加油，要学讲华语啊，加油加油啊！来，今天我们很开心，就是邀请到 Andrea 进来，虽然 Andrea 今年是17岁嘛，好，17 years old， 然后虽然她没有什么，没有整17岁啊，虽然她没有太多的。虽然他没有太多的社会经验，就如果说我们是没有办法想象将来的这个世界会让他们去主持变成什么样子，所以肯定他们有非常大的梦想 ，they have their great desire to build a better world. So there's no further delay. I think Andrea, you can introduce yourself and then tell us how and what is your method and what is your plan to build a better world for us.
Okay, so I'll start off with a short self-introduction. Hello everyone, my name is Andrea. I just turned 18 and right now I just finished SPM, so that's a really brief introduction about me. I'm also the co-founder of a page called Youth.my. So for those who are unaware of Youth.my, you can go to Instagram and search at Youth.my. And what that page initially does, or what is the purpose of a page, is to raise awareness on social issues to youth, or more specifically, the demographic that we're targeting is Malaysian youth, because more often than not, we see that we as youth, or we as Malaysian youth, there are some of us that aren't very informed on social issues or on current news, and we think that that is something that we need to look into. And we as youth, we have to wonder, how are we going to change the world if we don't know about, the problems that are affecting us right now or affecting others? And so that is what we at Youth.my strive to do. We just want to encourage fellow youth to also partake in social activism, and in hopes that all of us can take part and make a change for the world. Hopefully a better tomorrow. Right, thank you.
So Michael, you have any questions you want to raise from your side?
Yeah, definitely inspiring to hear from I wouldn't say young, because everyone of us started young anyway. So very inspiring and things like that. But of course, I've heard, as a moderator, sometimes we have so many questions, a list of questions to ask. Let me start off with something that you have mentioned earlier. Very inspiring, very powerful to change the world. But as you stated earlier, let's start a little bit easy. What do you think are the key things or the important things you can change or bring a better Malaysia for a start? What do you think you can do?
I think as Malaysia is a very, very great country. So as a Malaysian, I'm very, very proud to be Malaysian, right? But of course, there are more ways that we can build a better nation. There are more ways that we can partake or engage ourselves in to build a better nation for the next generation to live in. If we were to say that what I think we can improve on, I think that the most important thing right now that we need to improve on is, first of all, equality. I myself am more towards equality for all. That is what I'm passionate about in social activism. So, for example, gender equality, racial equality, that is the things that I strive for. And I think that there are some form of improvement that are needed to, make our country become better in these terms, equality. I think that is the first thing. And second thing is education. Our education system is pretty good right now because education is free in Malaysia for everyone, right? But there are some things that we need to further improve on. So let's say access to education for Malaysians. And how are we going to ensure that the kids of Malaysia, or not even kids, citizens of Malaysia, how are they going to have access to good education, to quality education? And that are the two things that I think that we really need to focus on for Malaysia to improve. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. If you don't mind, you want to share a little bit about your family background, what your parents are doing, and how they have influenced your thoughts and your inspiration? How have they inspired you?
Well, my family, I actually come from a middle class family, obviously. My mom, she is a social worker. She started her own charity organization, which I think is also a part of why I'm also started my own organization as well, because following her footsteps. And my dad, he is a businessman. He's managing his own business right now. And yeah, um, in terms of my family, how they inspired me to become more active in a sense is that the most important thing right now, I think, is the education that they have given me. So, in terms of say that, I think most parents or a lot of parents has this thought where they say that, oh, in order for their child to be better, um, the thing that they need to focus on is their education. So for their in studies, for their studies, yeah, for their exams, and they hope that they can, make their children become better individuals by giving them a good education. They can get better results, then get into a better uni, and then, have a better life, right? Have a better chance at a better life. But my parents, not that they don't think like this, they do believe in the sense that you need to have good results, good grades. But what they firmly believe in is also that education doesn't come from just textbooks. It doesn't just stem from schools. It stems from other places. It stems from being partaking in activities. It stems from partaking in charity events. So when I was young, my parents are very, very supportive of me joining a lot of activities. So, for example, my mom, I remember very vividly when I was 3 or 4 years old, my mom would bring me to like a lot of charity events with my dad and my siblings as well. They just bring us to a lot of charity events. So we will be doing recycling events. We'll be going on to do what is it called? 亲子活动. Yeah, we'll do a lot of 亲子活动. Yeah, and and then we'll just be doing a lot of charity events and donation drives. So I remember it stemming from a very young age that my parents have always been encouraging us to partake in events. And as a kid, I always told my parents, me, I want to join this. I want to join that. I want to join public speaking. I want to join debating. And then no matter how far the venue was, like the competitions venue, my parents would always like drive me there. Like without a word, they'll say, okay, jump, let's go. And then they'll just drive me there and like support me all the time. And they'll be like, hey, there's this competition coming up. Do you want to join? I see that your school got this post on storytelling competition. Do you want to join? So they are very supportive of me partaking in a lot of events, as well as my brothers and sister. My brother and sister, my parents are also very encouraging when it comes to these what is it called? These events.
Activities.
Yeah, these activities. Yes, exactly. And as I grew older, it still stuck with me. Their support still stuck with me. Their encouragement and their willingness to put in effort to ensure that we are partaking in these activities, it stuck with me. So as I grew older, I took in more activities. I went to join more public speaking. I went to join debating. I went to join a lot of activities that I never thought I would join if there wasn't a support coming from my parents. And my parents actually told me this the other day. Like when they heard I was doing this live, they just told me that I just want you to say something, and that is that, parents and kids even, they have this thought that like only education matters, only studies matter, but that's not true. Experience matter as well. You maybe in partaking in activities, partaking in events, sure, it doesn't give you, maybe you won't win in a sense that maybe I partake in public speaking, I won't win, but winning doesn't matter. What matters is the experiences that comes along with it. And that is what they want me and my siblings to have, the experience and the education and knowledge that comes with it. And they hope that parents and kids out there as well, don't be afraid and don't always just think that, oh, only my studies matter, only getting straight A's matter, because sometimes it really doesn't. What matters more is really your experiences in life and the knowledge that you've obtained. And yeah, that is how my parents have encouraged me and has inspired me to be more active.
I think, I think before we continue any further, there's something that I would like to do now. Can you, in a quick moment, a couple of seconds or 1 minute at most, what you want to say to your parents? I'm sure they are online now. Anything you want to tell your parents now?
I think I've been pretty vocal about what I want to tell them, like privately, But since now everybody's watching, and I just want to take the moment to say that, mommy, daddy, thank you so much for always supporting me no matter what. I know that some things that I do are very, rebellious in a sense. There are some things that I did that might have upset you in the past or might have upset you now. I don't know yet, but I hope that I hope that these things that they don't break our relationship with each other, right? And our bonds as parents and child. I really, really thank you for all your support, and I'm really, really grateful for that. And yeah, I love you guys. Hopefully, you're watching this.
I'm sure they are.
So Andrea, I mean, in your family with your parents, I think how many brothers and sisters you have? And normally, since you are young, what sort of education that? I mean, the family education. Let's say your parents are using kind of love to educate you, or they kind of use of rotans, for the family educations. And any discrepancy that happens in your life of the 17 years, and maybe it's a deep memories for you.
Yeah. My starting off my siblings, right? I have a brother and a sister. We are all 3 years apart. My sister is now 21. My brother is 15. So I'm the middle child. And yeah, in terms of how my family education is, my parents are firmly believe in communication. So I think that communication is key. Rather than using a rotan, they would switch more towards like talking to us. I mean, as a young child, when I was like 4 or 5, if I did something very bad, of course the rotan would come out lah. As I think most Malaysian parents have. And as a kid, I remember very vividly, right? I did something wrong. I don't know what I did, and then I went to take the rotan and I hid it under the couch because I didn't want my parents to use it on me when I was younger. I mean, eventually, as I grew older, they don't use it anymore. I don't recall times where they use it a lot. I think it's just that 1 or 2 times. And that's because I really did something that is, I would guess when I was a young child, it was very 很坏啦.
很坏,
Yeah, and I don't know what I did. I really don't remember. But yeah, they use communication to talk to us. So when we do something wrong, me and my siblings, they'll talk to us. Or my mom will bring us to her room, and then like just talk to us. Then my dad in the car drive, and then started like all he's like, we're living life right now, and then he just starts all his like 道理. Yeah. So
I think Michael smile already. Michael do the same thing to the children as well, I think.
because we have to take opportunity and every time that we can have to slowly move into the topic, right?
Yeah, exactly. So like, yeah, my parents will use communication more. And one of the experiences I have, I remember like one time, I don't know what I did. I seriously don't remember what I did. But I made my mom so angry to a point where she just like opened the gate and then just like, okay, you stand outside of the house. Stand. It's a relatively safe neighborhood lah. Just saying we're a gated community, so there's like no harm whatsoever. It's just because she wanted to scare me lah. To I was a kid. Okay, I didn't know what I was doing. But yeah, that was the worst thing that I've experienced, and I've never wanted to experience it again. And I tried to climb in the house like through the fence, and then I got caught red-handed, and I never did it again. So that's one of the more extreme ones I would say. But they did it out of love, and they did it because they wanted to educate me. Because communication wasn't, back in the days I was a kid, I was 4 or 5. Kids, they don't hear, they don't listen. So back then it didn't work. So they had to like scare me. So yeah, but right now, yeah, I'm very thankful that they chose to use communication instead of just beating us with rotan lah. Because it worked. It really did work. My parents, because sometimes what we don't understand is that kids, when they do something that's wrong, it's not because it's not because they understand it and they say, hi, I'm gonna do this because I want to piss you off, right? It's because that they don't understand what is right, what is wrong. And as parents, as adults, there is a sense of responsibility for you to teach them, oh no, what you're doing right now, it is wrong. And the way that you teach them is not by punishment. It is by telling them, okay, this is wrong because you hurt other people. If you take this pencil and then you threw it all around, that pencil will bound to hit someone and then you harm someone. So in a sense, communication is key, and that's what my parents believe in, and that's the education they instilled on us. So yeah.
Yeah, so let's start off with something at the beginning, from the beginning now and into your future. What are the three values? I mean, I'm sure there are plenty of values that your parents have given to you. What are the three values that you dear much, that you inherited from your parents, that inspire you and give you the direction of what you want to do next?
That's a very deep question. And I guess when you say that, like, I haven't prepared for it, right? So the thing that popped up in my mind right now is, first of all, courage. And you know, my name, funny enough, my name Andrea, it represents manliness, or actually, in a more unisex way, it is courageous. So I guess it comes a full circle lah. So what I see is that my parents always told me that you don't be shy to do this. Don't be shy to, when I have a competition coming up and I say, oh, I want to join, but I'm like, I'm scared lah. I don't know if I can do it. And my parents will be like, no, it's okay. Try to be brave and, be courageous. You have to understand that, sometimes there are some hardships in life where you have to be brave and take up on these hardships, right? And face them. So, first one, courage. You have to be courageous to join in on a lot of stuff, or to, face milestones in life. The second one is empathy. My parents, because at a very young age, my parents have already brought me to all these charity events and donation drives, and they've instilled a sense of empathy in myself lah. So they always told me that there are some people that don't have the advantages or the opportunities that we have. Some people are facing difficulties, they are facing hardships that we can never see and we can never understand. And you have to have this sense of empathy to not judge them, to not say that, oh, they're a bad person, they're lazy or whatnot, or they don't take care of their family, because no, you don't know what hardships they're going through. So you have to have a sense of empathy and try your best to help them instead of judging them. So that is the other one, empathy. And I think the third one is definitely love lah. Without love, how can you have a sense of trying to help someone? You help someone, whatever you're doing, you want to do it with love. If you're baking a pie, the secret ingredient they say is love, right? And I think that transpires to everything in life. Whatever you're doing, whether it be studying or doing charity work and helping other people, you have to do it with a sense of love. And yeah, so that is just the three things courage, empathy, and love.
Very good, especially love and empathy.
Yeah.
That's great. Can you recall, was there a time before that where you were tested of your courage, and your parents kind of allow you to do things at your own will, at your own courage, at your own risk, that they have little intervention or they don't intervene at all? And how have you survived that? I don't know. Whatever you call it, an episode or an incident, whatever you call it. That you are so courageous and you did something.
I was so courageous and I did something. In a sense, I think my parents, whatever I do, I actually tell them firsthand. I say, Mom and Dad, I want to do this. I need your opinions on this and advice, right? So in everything that I do, they'll always give, step in a bit and say, okay, my advice to you is blah, blah, blah. So I don't have an event where they just fully let me just go and do it myself, because they as parents, of course, they have a sense of concern, right? And they want to try to make sure that I do something that is right and don't go into the wrong way. But the ones that I think the incident or the experience that I had where I had to be very courageous is that starting my page, You Stop Mine. So here's the thing, in activism, in social activism, there are a lot of risks. And sometimes, while we're doing these youth activism stuff, you might go, not that you might go into the wrong path, but you might stumble across this risk, right? And these stones, these sticks and stones. And when I told my parents that, hey, me and my friends, we want to start this social activism page, and I was actually a bit scared, to be honest, because there isn't a lot of social activism page in Malaysia. It's not this community isn't very big. We all know each other, in a sense, and it's very, very small. So when I told my parents this, I was a bit scared. Like, well, what if I, fell into these kind of risks? What if I fell into holes and I can't get back up? Coming along with social activism, lah. And my parents was really, really supportive of me. At first, they were a bit concerned, obviously, as all parents are, but they did tell me all the risks and say, like, that if you're doing this, there's certain risks that you have to take. There are certain sticks and stones that you might face. So they told me that, but they still supported me. They still, if you want to do this, go ahead. And they didn't interfere much with it, lah. They just gave me advice on how I should handle things. So when I started out, they were like, okay, I think in order for you to avoid these risks, you can do this, do that. Yeah. So they have been involved in everything that I do, to be honest. But yeah, this is the thing that I think I had to bring out a lot of courage to, really start my own page and start my journey into social activism. Yeah.
Anything that you proposed to do before that was rejected from your parents?
Obviously there are a lot of things, but no, actually not a lot of things even. My parents have supported me a lot of things. Not a lot of times they will reject it, but I remember I'm saying that I want to go on a protest with my friends, Very recently, there's this Undi 18 protest, right? And I wanted to partake in it. And my parents were like, no, you cannot. Because first of all, COVID, obviously. And secondly, it is not really that safe. So, of course, even though I wanted to do it, my parents knew the risk and they told me no. And yeah, I kind of agree with them. Even though I wanted to do it, I also knew that there are risks here and there. So when they told me no, I'm like, yeah, figures, yeah, I take it lah. Because it's out of concern. So, and their concerns mostly came true. not on me, but like on other people. So yeah, thankfully, thank God lah that they said no to it. Because if they allowed me, maybe some risk might have happened. But yeah, so sometimes you have to listen to parents and just don't ngang leh. Force yourself and say, hey, I want to do this. Don't be that stubborn. Sometimes have to listen to the elders and take on their advice.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, you mentioned about empathy earlier. How would you differentiate between empathy and sympathy, and how you balance between them, so that you are not on the route of being taken for granted, being abused, or being being conned? Yeah.
Oh, I think the difference between sympathy and empathy, I'm not really sure of the difference between the words. Okay, this is just my take on it. I think that the difference between sympathy and empathy is just based on one thing. Sympathy is you sympathize with someone. You say that, hey, you are going through this, and I acknowledge that you're going through these hardships. Empathy, however, is that, hey, I know you're going through these, and I want to say I'll be there for you when you're going through these. I'll be there every way and I'll be helping you. So sympathy, you're only sympathizing someone where you are not willing to help them. You're not willing to say that I want to go through these experiences with you as well and I want to help you. Empathy, this is just my own take. I don't know if that's the exact terms. It's just my own take on these two terms. Empathy, whereas it's just that I acknowledge that you have these issues that you're facing and I want to help you. And I want to, do everything that I can to ensure that you get out of this situation. And how, in terms of being conned, I think that is, that the only way for us to, prevent getting conned is just be more aware or educated on certain stuff lah. So in a sense where maybe a lot of people, I think the way that they are being conned right now is that you know, they see this post on Facebook, for example, and they say, oh, okay, this kid, he is having cancer and he needs funds. And then without a doubt, they just say, oh, so sad, like this kid, I need to help them. And then like just transfer money. But what they don't know is that, you know, this is fake. This is a scam. And how are we going to prevent it is that we have to be more educated on these matters and see that, hey, it's a bit weird like this post. They don't even say where is the hospital, what is the stage of his cancer, why does he have funds, and which charity is in charge of this fund, and how am I going to contact the people, instead of just like, you know, transferring money to them. You have to go through this process and ensure that you know all these details first, like everyone know all these details first before they, you know, transfer the money or they donate the money or they donate stuff. You just have to be more educated and more aware that see if they are certified, see if the charity they are based under, is it certified, is that charity legit, is this case legit, and if so, if something happens, who is the person in charge, is the person in charge legitimate, are they responsible? So you have to work through all of these before, you know, just having that sense of urgency and say, oh, they need it in 3 days, okay, I just donate now. No, take your time, go through everything, filter through it, then only decide whether or not you want to donate. Because there are a lot of scam cases out there. So to me, that is the way that we can prevent it. Yeah.
Yeah, I have to check the persons whether they are actually registered under Mr. Michael's associations as a certified professionals or fundraiser.
But we don't want to end up with professional conmen around. Okay, Andrea, you have got a very kind of I would say the good differentiation between sympathy and empathy. But I mean, in addition to that, for the listeners out there, because I realized one thing about Malaysians, I believe that we Malaysians are generally all very generous people. Whenever we see adversity, you know, or some sad news on the newspaper, all the donations will start to pour in. Yeah, you are right, Andrea, that empathy and sympathy is different. If I can add on, sympathy will be very much a short burst of emotional fulfillment. That means you see a sad case, you want to you want to do something about it, a short burst. That is emotional fulfillment. Empathy will be very much when you start to think. You know, empathy will be very much long-lasting, very much sustainable, whereby you look at the root cause. Can we uplift that person rather than just keep giving and giving and giving? So yeah, so I think this is what very much your mother is doing as well in terms of charity to help people on their own feet. Yeah. So yeah, you got it quite right in that sense. Now, the other thing you mentioned about equality, very big word. You mentioned about two things about equality that you are looking at: equality of gender, equality between gender, and of course equality, social equality. Yeah. Now, of course, there are many other equality in terms of what you call economic participation, equality in education access, equality in so many things. Yeah. So, what do you think is the underlying factor that you feel that equality is much needed in any society? What is the underlying factor? What is so important that you feel that equality must be there?
A very deep question. I think the questions right today is so deep. But I think that the underlying factor, first of all, obviously, is because we humans are all born the same. Why are we using our differences to put on different, chains on other people? Why is it because that just because I am a female, I have these disadvantages brought onto me? Why is it that as, let's say, a person from B40 family, they have lesser opportunities that compared to a middle income or high income family? We are all humans. At the end of the day, we are bleeding the same blood. We can't use our differences to kind of say that, hey, I'm more superior than you in this sense because my difference is better than your difference. I don't believe in these types of ideologies that we have to have a certain status because of our differences. I believe that everyone should be equal. Whoever we are, wherever we are, whatever race we are, whatever gender we are, we're all the same at the end of the day. We're all only one species, in like animal kingdom there are a lot of different species and we are the Homo sapiens. At the end of the day, we're all the same. So that is the underlying factor that I think people don't understand, is that we can't use differences to, say that one is superior to the other. There isn't such thing. We're all still the same at the end of the day. So yeah, that is what I firmly believe in lah. That everyone, regardless of our differences, should be treated equally, should have the same opportunities no matter what. The only thing that should define us and the opportunities that we have is how hard we work for it. Other than that, not just how hard we work for it and our abilities as well lah. But other than that, I don't think there should be any other underlying factors such as gender, such as race, socioeconomic status. Those shouldn't matter at all because we are all the same either ways.
All right, that's you know, Melissa, when you do this show, Inspiring Women Talk Show,
Yes.
I just feel that I don't want to just stop at asking the like Andrea now what she thinks and things like that without giving her challenges now ad hoc. So let's see how you handle this question next year. Now,
It's a bit scaring me right now lah.
I think
we have
this
to
is a
go.
very good improvement for you after today's interview.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
we have
also
to-
benefit
yeah.
to all the audience.
Yes.
Correct.
Yes,
We have to go impromptu rather than, I know you have prepared a lot, you know. So I want to give you a question that you are not prepared. Now,
Yeah. Let's go.
you said equality. You mentioned about equality. What do you think? What is your opinion about the grading system in education, the grading system in terms of work performance in career? Where people grade another people through a judging system, appraisal system, test, examination in university, whatever you call it. Would that grading, the outcome of the grading, that divide and separate people by different grades, therefore in different classes in university or in the work class or in the society, what is your take? What is your opinion in terms of the equality element in such grading system?
I think that, people often forget about something, and that is people have different abilities. Einstein once said that, you can't judge a fish, the ability of a fish to walk because it can't walk, right? It can only swim. You can't judge the ability of a monkey to swim, to in a sense, swim underwater because it can't swim. It can only climb, right? Different people have different abilities. And that is something that, is true. Maybe my ability, for me, I'm good in speaking. Something that I think that I'm good in, maybe that's my ability, something I'm good at. But that might not be the same for other people. That, maybe for my peers, I know people who don't like to speak, so they don't have that ability, whereas they're very good in writing essays. Or there are some people who are very good in mathematical calculations, and they're not good in writing essays. Everyone has different abilities. And I guess, to me, grading systems, yes, they are a necessity when it comes to education, because you want to know that, are these students following the pace of this syllabus? Do they understand what is going on? Do they have a certain understanding? And if you fail, if you got a gagal, if you got an F, that means that you don't have the most basic comprehension of this syllabus that we're doing right now, and we need to help you out. That's why the grading system is there. They want to see that if students understand the curricula, understand the syllabus, right? But what we fail to realize is that when we have this kind of grading system, what comes with it is that we grade people based on a certain ability. So in a sense, let's take languages, for example. For Malay, right, the way that you have to score Malay, like for us, maybe I say SPM, for example, right? My batch, I just finished SPM. How we have to score Malay is that we have to do essays. We have to write essays. We have to do comprehension, like questions. And then we have to do poetry and drama and all that, right? And although there are people who are good in it, there are also people whose ability is not there. That is not something that they're good at. And they'll be confined to see that, the only way you have to be good in Malay is that you have to be good in writing into writing essays, into answering these questions, into answering KBAC questions. But one can be good in Malay if they are good at speaking it, right? It's not confined to just writing. It's not confined to just speaking. There are a lot of different ways that we can determine if an individual is intellectually smart, is smart, or has a great education, right? So sometimes I think that the flaw of the grading system is that they confine people into thinking that only by doing certain things or understand or answering certain questions, then only you are good in that thing. And if you fail to do so, you're not good in studying at all. But that is not true, because we all have different abilities. And yeah, that's what I think comes with the grading system. That's just an underlying flaw in it. And hopefully it can be improved on that aspect lah.
Yeah, Andrea, I know that you like to do a lot of debates and things like that, let me ask you the next question, if you don't mind. Being vocal and argumentative, being vocal and argumentative can always invite adversaries and plenty of criticisms. People unhappy with you and things like that. Now, how do you, if you want to share, how do you manage it, maintain your tact along these adversaries, these criticisms, maintain your tact and track, and not derail in whatever you do, at the same time, not being called or labeled as stubborn?
Oh, yeah, I can already see where this question is going. Right. I would just say that, being vocal and argumentative, I don't even think the word is argumentative. I would just say, being very debating lah, okay? Because when you argue, you're just really being stubborn because you're not taking into other people's ideas. You're not taking into other people's advice. You're just arguing and defending your own stance, right? Whereas debating, you have to, listen and then think, oh, which one is better, and debate on it. And here's the thing. I think that, obviously when we are very vocal on a certain issue, there have to be different from the people from the opposite end and say, hey, I don't think that's the issue here. I think my understanding is different from yours. And I think that one of the ways for us to always maintain our own track and remember our purpose is that when he's gone.
It's okay, you just continue.
Okay. Oh, he's back. Okay, great. Is to always, first of all, if we can, listen to what they're saying and then have a discourse with them and say, hey, why are you thinking this way? Understand that even though you have differences, maybe the differences stem from the same purpose. Maybe that we care about the same things, just the execution is different, the mindset is different behind these things, right? So first of all, have discourse and be very civil on that discourse. Don't be argumentative. Secondly, is that not to say that it is stubborn lah. I guess, to not seem that you're stubborn, really take into account on what people are saying. And maybe sometimes their advice is pretty good. Their advice is pretty good, and take into those advice and say that, hey, okay, my stance right here might be a bit flawed and I can take in more advice to make sure that my stance would be better, right? And in terms of, some people might be very extreme, and whatever you say, whatever, you do, they would just bring a lot of hate. I mean, as doing my page right now, sometimes we do see that they're just trolling you and they just bring in a lot of hate. And the way for you to, in a sense, overcome it is just to ignore them. Because if you don't give them the time and don't waste your energy and effort into hearing their hate, their hatred, then, you won't feel anything. And in the long run, they also won't come and bother you right now because you're not giving them the attention that they're seeking. So yeah, that is what that's how I would say I would deal with people calling me too vocal, or sometimes the hate that comes with it, is that first of all, have discourse, understand what when someone have a different opinion with you, just have discourse, very civil, and try to find common ground with one another. Then secondly is if it's really, really just hatred messages, whatever you say can't change their mind, and their stance is very, very different from your stance, and they're being very hateful about it, just ignore them. Don't give them the attention that they're seeking. And that is how I would deal with it.
Yeah, that's a great one. Yeah. Just by the way, just sharing and to top up, argumentation can be positively done. But I don't want to sound academic here, but Fisher and Scriven will definitely say that argumentation presents the logic and the critical thinking within that person. So it can be positively done, things like that. Yeah, that is a good feedback from you. Now, moving forward, how do you see yourself I don't want to go too far into the future, but how do you see yourself in the next 3 to 5 years? Let's look at the timeline between 3 to 5 years.
2 5 years. 3 to 5 years, I'll be doing, I'll be studying in uni because I've just finished SPM and I'll be starting college this coming July. Where do I see myself? I guess in a more personal aspect, I just hope to become a better individual and improve day by day, improve month by month, year by year if I can, even if it's small improvements. What I hope to become, I hope to, when I say be a better individual, I mean like, there are I still have flaws in myself. Sometimes I am very stubborn and I hope I can just change on that. As I mature, I can get more experiences and maybe that will downplay my stubbornness a bit. And hopefully I want to take on more leadership roles. I want to experience more leadership skills, get more leadership skills by being a leader. So maybe join more clubs and, take in the opportunities that I can and, in a sense, lead people if I can, get the leadership skill that is needed, because when we go on to the work field, leadership skills is very, very important, and I hope I can continue to blossom in that aspect. And on a more wider aspect, I guess, I would just say focusing on my use.my page. I hope that in the next 3 to 5 years, the page will still continue to blossom, and we can continue to produce better content and maybe venture to other avenues such as having a podcast, having clubhouse sessions, and then just bring more content to more individuals. And hopefully, in the end goal is to get as many people as we can, youths or just even adults as well, to be more engaged into social activism and just to be more engaged in our current news and current issues that we are facing. And yeah, that is what I hope to see myself in the next 3 to 5 years. And hopefully finish my degree or finish my university with good results. Yeah.
I think you can.
Hopefully.
Sure you can. I think it's very good that because I think Michael has raised out a lot of very good questions, that and you also giving a very good answer from yourself. And,
Thank you.
Like just how Michael was mentioned, whatever debate or argument, the logic is very important, So
Yeah.
why just how it was mentioned that some people may have different opinion with you, and then we may just ignore it, which I find that we don't use the word ignore because it's very hard to find that everybody's opinion is just like you.
Exactly.
Because everybody's their background is different, their education is different, and the society they stay is different, and scenario they are facing is different. So in fact, whatever program or whatever suggestions or whatever idea or whatever answer we are given to one of the questions, it cannot represent to everybody, and it cannot be everybody will be agree for that. So whatever thing we do, I think is from our love, is from our heart, that we don't force everybody have to agree with us, and we don't force everybody have to follow our step. I think we look things more wider, our heart more bigger and great. I think it should be the way. This is what I think. I do not know, Michael, do you agree with that?
Of course, definitely. In fact, there's something I want to add on and top up as well. Yeah. So in life is not a debate. Life is not a judgment. We are all here with different perspectives, different contexts, different background, different conditioning, different upbringing, and so on. So I do believe that there is no right or wrong in this world. That it is just a matter of relevance. Would a person's opinion, a person's idea, a person's decisions be relevant at that particular point of time under that particular situations or circumstances?
Yes.
It could not be then, but it could be better relevance in the future. So there's no right or wrong in that sense. Yeah. So basically that is to top out what Melissa has said. Now, I want to give you another. Do we have the time, Melissa?
Yeah, you have another 10 minutes.
All right. Okay, that's good. I'm taking this opportunity to quiz and test every single brain cell that Andrea has in her brain.
Oh
So,
no! Oh no!
because I hope to catch this opportunity to to for you to speak more impromptu, so that people can see what's the feel in you that triggers your inspiration. Now, you mentioned about gender equality just now. You were saying that you said that, why am I a female? Why disadvantages is on me? Now, would you like to explain or clarify a little bit about females' mindset? Because I'm a male. I mean, I'm in the female world, and just for your information, our what you call the Advanced Accreditation Authority in Singapore, we have done our trajectory, and we noted that. For your information, the good news is the future economy will be controlled and commanded by females in majority and those below 35 years old. So that is quite in line. But listening to what you mentioned earlier, wouldn't it be a little bit of inferior complex to say that, oh, I'm a female, I'm always at a disadvantage, and therefore I'm fighting on this platform, on this note? How would you want to defer yourself from being more uh, productive, more positive, rather than just looking at the disadvantages against the female, for example? I mean, we can't be always arguing or fighting for disadvantages rather than just or looking at a more positive, constructive way of looking at things. What is your
Yeah.
opinion, your take on that?
I guess in a sense that what I myself am trying to do right now is that, first of all, we have to acknowledge that certain groups face certain issues or face certain problems, right? So when I say when female we come off, when we have these disadvantages, I'm saying that there are certain females who are, being discredited because of their gender. So for example, there are females are always, I myself have friends or even have people in my community who have been told that, oh, you as a female, you should stay at home and take care of the children, you should not work, because that was a status quo that was placed in them, saying that, oh, in a Chinese term 啦，作为女生你应该做贤妻良母，你不应该
现
出去
在还有这
工作。
种人有这种想法吗？
对，有的，其实真的还有，就我们 maybe like we're still living in an echo chamber. Maybe in our perspective, in our community, we don't see it, but it happens. And the reason I myself, I know that it happens because I've seen, people who are close to me being told that, and not even just that, you can see on the news as well, that there are people who still have this mindset, especially when I did, my Youth of Mine, we actually had this series called Sexual Harassment Series, whereby we asked our audience if there's anyone who has faced sexual harassment. And the thing that we found is that every answer that we had, every submissions that we had, it was all female. Of course, these things does happen to males, like sexual harassment does happen in 在男性的方面啦，男人也会受到 sexual harassment，对，是有的，但是 it is quite obvious that it happens more towards females, and and because of that brings a certain disadvantage, as in, because maybe a female is working in this workspace, they are facing sexual harassment, and because of that they have no choice but to opt out because they feel so uncomfortable. They have no choice but to resign because they feel like the environment is not safe for them. And I would just say that when I say that disadvantage that comes with it, as a female myself, I've also heard a lot of things. I've also experienced a lot of things saying that you're just a girl lah. What? You're not supposed to do this. You're not supposed to do that. Leave it to the men. Leave it to the boys. And these issues doesn't just occur in females. It occurs in a lot of other groups as well. Maybe in indigenous tribes, maybe in youths where they say you are not experienced enough, you shouldn't be doing this, right? So for me, I would just say, to reply to your question just now, how are we supposed to face this? How are we face this in a more positive aspect? I think the first one is really to acknowledge that these problems exist. Because if you don't acknowledge that these issues exist, you don't have anything that you're fighting for. You will still have this mindset that everything is perfect, that everything is good. Where in reality, it might be good for you, but it might be disenfranchising other people. You just don't see it because you think that it's perfect. So we have to acknowledge that the problem is there in the first place. That, as a woman, maybe there are certain disadvantages, certain social status quo that tied us down. I don't know if you've seen this, but according to the Global Gender Inequality Index, Malaysia ranks very, very low. It's not the lowest. I don't recall it being low. I remember it was around 100 something, right? And in that index, they tested 4 things. One is access to education, access to healthcare, economics, and then politics. In access to education and healthcare, Malaysia was ranked first because we do have free healthcare for all. We do have free education for all, and women have that. But when it comes to economy-wise and the politics, we ranked very, very low because there isn't a lot of women partaking in politics. As I think you can see right now in our government, there isn't a lot of women taking political leadership positions. And in social economic backgrounds, as in women are disencouraged to go into a work field because of the same mindset they have that, you have to be a mother. You have to stay at home and take care of your children. Or maybe because, other issues which I don't think I'm in the best position to talk about. I'm still young. I don't think that I have the most mature or most correct mindset or education I have on these matters. I can't say on that, but that is just the index that I saw, and that is what the report that has lah. Maybe in the future, yes, women will blossom, and I hope that would be the future that we have. But right now, we have these issues, and we have to solve them. When we acknowledge that these issues are happening, the way to solve them is then ask ourselves, we as maybe me lah, for myself personally, I as a girl, I as a woman myself, how am I going to help other people? I have to be honest, I'm very privileged. I have more opportunities than compared to the peers around me. And the question I always ask myself, how am I going to use my privilege? How am I going to use my opportunities to then also uplift people who are being disenfranchised, people who are being, who are being at a disadvantage? Or maybe even not for me personally, just for everyone out there. Whether you're a male or a female, all of us, we have a certain opportunity or a certain privilege that we have. Then we have to ask ourselves, with this privilege, how can we use our privilege to help other people who are in need of it? And how we in turn can empower other people to stand up and maybe improve the community that we have. So I think like Melissa, right? Melissa, I will just say this, I'm very, very in awe of the work that you're doing, and I'm so happy to be invited here. And one of the things I see from Melissa's platform is that she understands that she has a privilege, and that is her privilege. She has a voice. She has a platform where she can use it to empower women to come out and talk about inspiring stories, to inspire other women or even other people to, help to build a better society, how they themselves can partake in that. And Melissa understands that she has a privilege and she's using that privilege to help others. So in a more positive aspect, we can look from is how we can use our privilege, our opportunities, and in turn also empower others and help others to rise and in a sense build a better community for not just us but for everyone out there.
It's very good.
All right.
Thank you for your voice out for today. I think Michael have to do a little bit of a wrap up in a short time.
All right. Thanks, Melissa. Thank you, Andrea. Yeah. Interesting session with Andrea, giving us and everyone a perspective of what the youth thinks and what the youth cares about at this moment of time, especially in our own context, in our own country. What are the priorities and what are the things that matters to you, Andrea yourself, and also the youth in general. So also thank you to Melissa, yeah, for your initiative and hard work. I know this is the many sessions you have done. So keep on coming.
Thank you.
So the only thing, probably just a small suggestion, is maybe you want to invite the mother who is behind Andrea supporting her to give a real talk about inspiring women. I mean,
She's actually, watching this program, but I
yeah,
invite her. She was so shy. She said,
yeah.
let the daughter to do it will do.
So maybe the daughter will train the mom in the next session. All right,
Yes.
I
that's
don't
all
think
from me.
I think I
Yeah.
need training from her, not I train her.
Okay, that's all from me. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay,
Thank you so
I
much.
do a short wrap up in Mandarin to some of the fans.
，Yep.
今天呢，非常的感恩，就是我的好朋友 Michael 他抽这个时间出来，也很感恩 Andrea，也抽他的时间为年轻的一代做出一些发声。当然，就是刚才我也是提到的，就每一个人的意见都是个人的意见。我们可以找到有同样共鸣的人，我们也可能是有一些人是不是很认同的。但是我们也不需要去生气，也不需要去辩论，因为每一个人的环境都会带给每一个人不同的思想。那么 Andrew 他本身呢是有着伟大的这个情操，就是他有一个很 great 的 desire， 他希望把这个世界变得更美好。我相信不只是马来西亚，如果是说我们对女性，我们也不是说对马来西亚的女性，是所有的女性啊 ，all the ladies in the world。所以刚才我们有提到很多，其实是非常有建设性的一些建议。那 Michael 也发出了就是非常非常专业的一些问题，让大家都从中学习到很多不一样的知识。还有就是我们有提到，就是说我们就是 voice up， 我们要发声，我们需要怎样？我们需要公平，我们需要怎样子的对待？不过对我本身的意见，我是觉得最重要是我们要提升自己，因为每一样事情都是要由自己去踏出第一步。就好像 Andrea 刚才说我做这个节目就是我的 program， 就是很多时候我是觉得 instead of 我们去发声，但是我们去做一点小小的动作，让有同样共鸣的人可以一起跟我们一起走下去。我觉得这样会对我本身来说会比较实际。当然我们也需要敢发声的人，就是我们也要人家站出来讲，就好像 Michael 他就培训很多人都可以站出来讲，然后他自己也讲得非常的好。那还有这个年轻的 Andrea， 然后他也是有这个 page 来做这个 voice out 的。所以很多东西我们必须要双管齐下，然后我们做每一样事情，我们都要站在别人的立场去想。我们很想这样子做，但是别人想这样子做，然后我们做出来的东西到底别人有没有得到那个利益？The advantages have to go to everybody. Maybe cannot be everybody, but certain people who have the same thinking and the same path that we are planning to go for. 所以我觉得这个是非常重要的。年轻的一代会教我们如何生活得更好。如果你需要我们的祝福，我们会祝福你。然后就是可能 Michael 还要再讲一点点呢，你身边的女人怎样扶持你？你需不需要用1分钟来做一个感恩？来 Michael，因为你身边的女人也是我的好朋友哦。
肯定，除了太太还有妈妈了，不要忘记自己的父母。
对。
当然刚才 Melissa 所讲的也是很正确很对，所以as a summary 我是想要跟大家分享的就是说，年轻人他的冲力是在那边 ，the energy is there， 但是the only thing is that how are we going to put the energy in a more medium and long term so that energy does not diffuse along the way， 不要说在半路上就遇到一点困难还是什么就放弃了。因为我曾经也是有面对过年轻人 ，I've came across young people who are very inspired. They want to do great things until they forgot their priority. 所以我想要分享想要说的就是说年轻人我不是说年轻人罢了，每一个人我们生活在这个世界上，就是存在在这个世界上，就是不同的阶段，每一个阶段我们有我们的 priority。比如讲年轻人现在Andrea 刚刚from 5出来，接下来就是最重要的 priority 就是what you call get a qualification education。现实是很残忍的，the harsh reality is very brutal. Without education, you go nowhere. yes, we can what you call fight and go forward, be inspired in what we do and chase after what we do， 追踪我们的梦想，那个是很好的。但是也不要忘记，不要放弃，我们需要做，在每一个人生的阶段需要做的东西是什么？所以在你的阶段现在就是 education，get yourself a good education，get yourself qualified，get the education as the basis of what you do, so that you become stronger in that way. And of course, put yourself in a longer, medium and longer term track, so that you are not derailed by the challenges and adversaries. 这一次所以这些东西就是我觉得我也是看到在很多年轻人里面有些成功，有些失败都有，因为他的梦想觉得是短期的，不是长期。So yeah, this is my wrap up as well. Just to add on.
好，那时间的关系，我们也要结束我们的节目。再一次感谢Michael， 感谢 Andrea。下一次有机会我们可以再相聚。再见，
拜拜 ，Thank you。